Welcome to the Business Resilience DECODED podcast, brought to you by Asfalis Advisors and the Disaster Recovery Journal. Crisis management in today's world is ever-changing, and this podcast is our commitment to help you navigate successful outcomes for any crisis you may face. I'm your host, Vanessa Matthews. I specialize in providing insights and solutions for crisis, continuity, and resilience across industries from real estate and healthcare to terrorism in the airline and transportation worlds. No matter what industry you're in, this podcast will provide you the tools to build resilience in your organization.
Well, if you've never, ever seen her in person, this is Kristen Stegall. Mm-hmm. And Kristen owns Novice Studios. Mm-hmm. And she is our co-producer. So she is behind the scenes helping John Seals as the co-producer for the Business Resilience DECODED podcast. And she's been amazing.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
This is the second time you've been interviewed on the podcast now.
Yeah, officially. Mm-hmm. So this is the thing. And this was her idea literally 2 minutes ago. So we're just riffing it.
We are. So this is a special occasion because it is the final wrap-up episode that we're recording of the Business Resilience DECODED podcast.
Dun, 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 dun.
So what kind of led to you feeling like you're ready to end the podcast on a high note?
Number one, we've had an amazing journey. And the partnership with Disaster Recovery Journal, Bob Arnold, John Seals, and the Asfalis Advisors team, our marketing team that's behind the scenes, has been amazing. And we have touched literally hundreds of thousands of people around the world and didn't even know it. If it wasn't for Kristen, we probably still wouldn't know. And so I am all about vision and strategy. And as a business owner, I think about exit plans and next steps. And when we started the podcast, we didn't really have a vision or a next step. Well, my vision was to be the number one. That's always my goal. But it's been 5 years. And I was told that most business podcasts do not make it, let alone a full year to 2 years. Mm-hmm. So for us to have been operating with such a strong partnership for over 5 years, just thought it might be time to think about what the world needs next and what that might look like in the future.
Yeah. Most podcasts don't last more than 10 episodes. Wow. Mm-hmm. And the great thing about ending a podcast is that the content is still there forever. So people can still go back and find it. There's such an amazing library of content that you guys have created over the last 5 years. There's still the LinkedIn presence. There's still the YouTube channel to go back and look at. So it's the ending of new episodes. And it's even for now. It doesn't have to be forever. So.
Wow. We've had over, 150 episodes?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh. It's a lot of talking.
It is a lot of talking. But you're the best at it. So
I used to get in trouble for that in school, and now I get paid to do it.
Which is awesome. And so you guys have had this multimedia partnership. What are some of the things that have come from the podcast, opportunities that have come for you, or just how it's impacted your business? Or, what have people come up and said to you about the podcast over the last 5 years?
So I would say what people have said about the podcast has been the most valuable thing. Because I'm all about I want to add value. If I can't add value, I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And having the subscribers email, message us on LinkedIn, or approach us at conferences, or tell us, "Oh my God, I listened to the podcast." I get so excited because we were surprised. So when we first hired you, you helped us to understand that we had over 18,000 downloads globally, and we were in countries that we didn't even think knew what business resilience was or crisis management. And then in 2023, that 18,000 grew to over 42,000, which is just crazy. And so when I hear people say from our subscribers that, hey, this podcast has been helpful for me to train my team, or it's provided me actionable steps and I can go in and implement that because I don't have resources or a budget. So I can't hire an expert to come in and help me do it. But the podcast has helped me to do things and help me to see how I can do them on my own, I think that's a tremendous value add. The podcast, one of the other things that it's helped us do from a business standpoint is people have grown their awareness to the Asfalis Advisors brand. And it has been a great recruiting tool for talent because I kind of give you all the keys on the podcast. So if you're going to be great in the company, you would probably want to listen to the podcast because it's going to tell you that you know who I am. I hold no bars. I hold nothing back. I am who I am unapologetically and apologetically sometimes. But but we've been very honest about the challenges of our business, what we need, what we want, what a great talent fit is. And people who can appreciate honesty and transparency have valued that. It has also helped me just to see the great partnership and the great value add that Disaster Recovery Journal has provided on this industry. Bob Arnold and his organization are a family-owned business, and they've been in business for over 30 years. And our company is, I am 100% the owner, but my family also works in my business. And so that has also been an interesting dynamic for us to kind of think through different values. But at the end of the day, this partnership has worked because of strong leadership and great partnership. And I would say the other component of the podcast that's been a value add is leveraging the clients. So we've had some of our customers to come in and speak on the podcast and talk about their experiences, but it's also been a value add for clients to listen to what's happening in the industry. And lastly, what I would say, it has exposed us to different people. So one of the big things that mattered to me was I want to see something different in my industry. Respectfully, it has historically looked like one demographic, older males that do not look like me. And on this podcast, we've been able to bring in people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different industries, or people who see risk differently. And what I can appreciate about that is it gave our subscribers something that I didn't have. When I graduated from Savannah State University and got into this space, I saw one demographic in the Homeland Security, emergency management, or resilience space. And our podcast has been a vehicle to highlight people from all over the world who are managing risk in their own dynamic. So it's been amazing.
So one of the reasons that I was so excited to work with you guys in your podcast was after watching the episode that you did after George Floyd was murdered and about the Black Lives Matter movement and just your raw emotions, your reaction to everything that was happening, your perspective on it as a Black woman, as a Black business owner. And to me, I thought it was amazing how much trust there was between you and then Bob and the team and John, and how they just let you speak your mind. You were allowed to be 100% authentic on this podcast. I feel like your podcast has gone places that maybe your industry isn't ready to go yet, or that they are not exposed to on a daily basis. And your audience has been receptive to that, which is incredible as well. So what are you most proud of about the podcast as a whole? And, what are your favorite episodes that you've done?
Ooh. So what I'm most proud of, I would say, is the podcast has enabled Vanessa Matthews. I am an individual. I do have my own thoughts and my own brain, right? To grow personally and my own personal professional development. It has been amazing. My personal favorite episode that I did was definitely the George Floyd episode, because I finally gave myself permission to be honest and to have a real conversation, because I have code switched. I have learned how to make people in corporate America feel comfortable about themselves. And I have been taught, right, how to speak and how to present and how to have this facade. And George Floyd gave me permission to say, everything's not okay. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to mean it. And what I think I've said this before, one of my business coaches told me, you have to be willing to lose the check. And I know I pissed some people off when I did that episode, and I don't care because the truth is real and people's lives are at stake. I also help people in different organizations through that episode to bridge conversations that needed to happen. And so I'm a believer that change happens when we're uncomfortable. And if you're comfortable, you're not changing, right? I've never lost weight by being comfortable. So that's the first thing I would say. Favorite episodes. Ooh, that's really hard because we've had really good speakers.
Mhm.
Favorite. My husband would say I don't have favorites. Just, there's a general category. What I have appreciated are we've done a lot of episodes in higher education,
Mhm.
and we've talked to CIOs, we've talked to program leaders, we've
Mhm.
talked to my alma mater's former president from
Mhm.
Savannah State University.
Mhm.
So that was amazing. I have interviewed former interns as
Mhm.
well as mentees. Destiny Ruffin from Atlanta Fulton County Emergency Management. She was incredible. So it was great to hear from her. The recent episode that we did with Michelle Myrie, where she interviewed me,
Yeah.
she was the first one, right? That was cool.
Yes.
Because you guys surprised me with that. I didn't see the questions until 30 minutes before the interview. Because I'm very clear that Asfalis Advisors is not building the Vanessa Matthews anything. It's not the Vanessa Matthews show. It's Asfalis Advisors and what's this product or the solution that can add value in the market.
Mhm.
So it was interesting to force myself to talk about myself.
Yeah.
And the journey of building Asfalis, because we have been one and the same, and I'm trying to separate the two. It's a challenge. But it was really cool to talk to her and also just to see her perspective as someone who's been on our team for a while and just to see how the growth has evolved within the business. I think the other thing that's kind of funny is my voice has changed over the years. I sound like a little squirrel in like the first year, and then now I sound like a full-grown adult. The other thing I've noticed is that my hair is different in every episode. Hashtag every 6 weeks I get my hair done. Okay.
I love that. It's self-care. It's a moment. You get to track. You'll know exactly when the episode was recorded based on the hairstyle. And I love that. That's amazing. So what are you going to miss about the podcast?
One of the things I think I will miss is offering people an option to come talk about yourself. Because I think that's been one way that we've had over 150 episodes is giving people in the industry or in business an opportunity to come speak about their business, their portfolio, and what they're doing. We have some clients who have always wanted to be on a podcast or who are trying to grow as a public speaker. And so it helps our podcast to have them as a guest, but it's also adding value to someone else.
Yep.
So that is probably going to be something that I miss because I can't say, darn, we should invite them on the podcast. Like, the other component that it's going to be different is just the time. Like now that we'll have a little bit of time back, what do we do with that time?
Rest.
That's a whole word because I'm a human being, but sometimes I act like a human doing and I don't know how to just be and not do. And I think you're right. It's refocusing and reprioritizing on being and resting and thinking. I feel like I get more out of Vanessa Matthews when she is at rest and then she can get recharged and come back. And I would say probably lastly would be, I'm going to miss John Seals and all his facial expressions. John Seals is my partner in crime.
Oh, I wish he was here right now.
Look, he's literally been there from the beginning of Vanessa Matthews coming into Disaster Recovery Journal, like day one. He's just awesome. And he gets it. And he values diversity. He values different thoughts and different perspectives. But he's just a ball of energy and so fun to be around. So I'm definitely going to miss seeing John Seals every week.
All the facial expressions that don't make it to the final cut, but are there for us to enjoy. Keep in our hearts forever. He's the best. He does have so much energy. He goes on the best rants sometimes. I could just listen to him rant about things forever. He's awesome. And he's done such an amazing job with the show as well. And it's been cool to listen to the evolution of the show over the years, going back and listening to the first episodes that were recorded, I think, at the conferences themselves. Yep. And so certainly some of the sound quality has changed over time. But the episodes that resonate, and they continue to resonate, and they continue to get tons and tons of downloads. The top shows have stayed the top shows. which I think is just like a testament to how well you know your audience and how well you've built those connections with people. And it has been cool to have people on the podcast not only share their expertise and share how amazing they are at what they do, but also the things that they're passionate about outside of work, because we are all whole human beings that have a wide range of interests. And I think sharing those things with other professionals in the industry helps to humanize us and helps build those relationships, which is really at the core of everything that you do for business resilience.
Yeah. Well, you make a great point. One of the episodes with David Phillips, Design with the Not For, on the Design Thinking podcast back in the early days, I love that concept of design with your audience and not for them. And I would say one of the value adds I'm going to miss is our quarterly strategic sessions that we used to have with you. So when we brought on Kristen, she was helpful in letting us look at the analytics of what the numbers are saying, because data drives and impacts decisions. And that's how we learned that we had so many podcasters, that we had so many downloads. It's how we learned which episodes were relevant. It's how we learned which episodes were not. It's how we learned what countries or what cities had the most plays, how many clicks we received on different links. And I would also add the partnership with the sponsors.
Yes.
John and particularly Bob Arnold have been leading that charge with driving the podcast sponsorships and working very closely with those partners to make sure that we're delivering value for them and their brands. And that partnership has been really good too.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Fusion and Onsol for sponsoring the podcast. We appreciate it. They've been awesome, and getting to work with them one-on-one and have representatives from their companies come on to the show has been amazing too. So what are you feeling in this moment as we wrap up? Like, what feelings are you having about, saying goodbye to the podcast for now?
I would say gratefulness. There's little tears in my eyes. I'm grateful. Like, being a business owner is not easy. And building a brand, a separate brand. We built multiple brands. Wow, I'm really crying here.
I got her.
Oh my gosh. Building multiple brands has not been easy. And we've always, like I said, wanted to add value to the subscribers. So I'm really excited about the impact that we've been able to make and the support from the subscribers. People used to say, I listen to you on the way to work. And people don't have to do that, but obviously they do for a reason. And so I'm just grateful that God has blessed me to be in this space and to make a mark on our industry. Yeah. I cannot believe you made me cry. I don't have any tissue. I was unprepared.
Call me Oprah. This is my personal strength. Well, I would say in those quarterly strategic sessions, I'm going to miss them too. I know that we're going to continue to work together on other things because I feel like sometimes you meet people and you just know that they're going to be in your life for a really long time. And I feel that way about you and John. I know I'm going to have to just send him random emails here and there to let him know that I'm thinking about him. But, in those quarterly sessions, we talk about the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats, and continuously every single time the strength is you and the way that you've carried the show, your personality, your willingness to ask amazing questions, the energy that you bring to every single conversation. So I know that this is not the last that we've seen of Vanessa Matthews, and there are more things to come, both for her personal brand, Asfalis Advisors as a brand, and then of course for DRJ as well. They're going to continue to be leaders in their industry as well. And thank you for bringing me into this partnership because you guys have been a blast to work with.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for deciding literally 15 minutes ago that we should do this episode off the cuff with no script and no tissue.
My bad. But I think that's been part of the magic too, is like, what are we going to talk about this week? What are we going to talk about today? And I think having it be from the heart has inspired some really, really cool conversations over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Shout out to Business Resilience Decoded.
Forever in our hearts. Go back and listen to the full library of episodes. There's over 150 episodes for you to go back to. They're great to re-listen to because they're such short, quick bites, straight to the point, informational, that I think that information is going to be relevant for years and years to come.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Business Resilience Decoded podcast, brought to you by Asfalis Advisors and Disaster Recovery Journal. Make sure you check out the show notes for this episode to see all the upcoming events, programs, and ways we can support you. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, leave us a review, and share it with a friend. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.